Hello guys, this is Stature Fashion here, and in this tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful wrap top. So I already have my fabric here folded into two. I have my scissors, my tape rule, my ruler, and my chalk. And yeah, I folded my fabric to the wrong part because I'm going to be using the chalk on it. So the fold that I have here is about 11.5 inches wide because the bust measurement of the person I'm working with is just size 34. So that's how wide I want it to be. Then the length, I want the length of the top to be 18 inches, but I'm going to be adding an extra 2 inch for folding it at the down parts. So I'm going to be marking 20 inches there. 18 inches original length and 2 more inches for folding allowance. That's what gave me 20 inches. You can make yours longer than that or shorter than that, but that's the length I want. So I'm just cutting those two sides away right now, both the length and the width. So when I'm done, the next thing that I'm going to do now is just to arrange my fabric like that, and then I'm going to cut that upper parts away. I don't need it. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is to take the shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurement that I'm working with is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches from my center point. Yes, 8 inches away from the center point. I'm actually drafting the back pattern first. So I'm taking 3 inches away from the neckline, 3 inches wide, and the depth is going to just be 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect it like that. This is the back panel of the dress. This is not the front. Okay, so when I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to get my bust point, which is 10 inches. The bust point of the person I'm working with is 10 inches. I'm just going to draw a line across like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to get the chest line. My chest line is just 2 inches above my bust point, so I'm going to draw a line across like that too. Then the next thing I'm going to do right now is to place that same 8 inches that I measured for my shoulder up there earlier. I'm going to measure that same 8 inches rather on my chest line that I just got now, and I'm just going to connect those two lines together like that. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to take my shoulder slope. I'm just going to take 1 inch away from there and connect it slantly, and connect it slantly to the neckline like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to get the distance between those 2 points, the slant and the chest line, and then I'm going to put the measurement of my bust point. I'm going to place it on the chest line, and when I divide my bust by 4, I add about 9.5. Yes, 9.5. So I'm going to place it right on my chest line, and I'm going to get the midpoints of that point that I'm working on now, and I'm going to take 0.5 inch away from that midpoint. Then I'm going to draw my armhole like that. Yes, I'm just covering the armhole curve with my free hand, and I'm going to add a 1.5 inch allowance on my chest line. Then on the waistline, remember that our original length is 18 inches. So on that waistline, I'm going to measure my waist. The waist I'm working with divided by 4 is going to give me 7.5. 30 inches divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'm going to mark 7.5 there, and I'm going to add a stitching allowance of 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect that 2 points down from the chest line to the waistline, like that. So I'm done working on the back piece. What is left now is just to cut it away. So I'm cutting the armhole right now. Cut the armhole away, and I'm going to cut away the shoulder slope too, and then the neckline. I'm sorry that the chalk is not really visible enough, but I hope you can still see it. Then I'm trimming away the remaining allowance at the sides too. So yeah, the back panel of the dress is ready, and that is what we are going to use to work on the fronts. So for the front panel, I got a wider and a bigger fabric. Then I placed the back panel on it, and I made sure that at the center front is where I have allowances for the fabric that I just brought, just like the way you see me doing it now. I'm just pinning the back panel to the front panel, to the fabric that I want to use for the front panel. So when I'm done with that, what I'll just do is to measure from the center front of my back panel to see if I have enough fabric. And yes, with what I'm saying, I have enough fabric, and I'm just going to see how long that place is. I'm going to mark away the 18 inches, the original length of the top, and from that side I'm going to mark 8 inches away from the center of the back piece. I'm just marking 8 inches away from there, and I'm just drawing a straight line across to indicate it. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to determine how deep I want my neckline to be in front. So I'm just going to mark where my back neckline is starting, so that I can be sure of where I'm starting from. Then I'm going to make my neckline just about 7 inches deep in front, because I don't want my cleavage to be showing. I don't want my customer's cleavage to be showing. So I'm just going to take away that neckline of the back, so that it won't be affected when I'm going to cut this front piece, when I'm going to be cutting it away. So I will just pin it down like that. And the next thing I'm going to do is just to take my ruler and roll from that point where the back neckline is ending down to that 7 inches I measured now. Then I'm going to then roll it down to the 8 inches down there. And at this point, you can be creative about it. You can make it straight, and you can make it a little bit curved. It depends on how you want it, but that's all, just how I did my own. Then that's just it for the front pattern, and I'm just going to add my extra 2 inches again. So I've added my extra 2 inches to make it 20 inches too in the front. Then the next thing I'm just going to do now is to cut it. That's basically all. Every other thing is basically the same with the back pattern, except for the center front. So cutting the armhole away now. I'm also going to cut the sides it's not visible in the camera, sorry about that. Then the shoulder slope, I cut it away, and then I also cut the front pattern where the overlap is going to be. Yeah, so I'm just cutting away the end of the dress, as you can see. And yeah, that's it for the front panel of the dress. So I'm just taking the pins away so that I can spread this and show you what we've got. Taking the pins away. So this is the back panel here, and I'm just going to place the front panels on its right sides facing each other. You can see that we have our laptop ready, almost ready rather. So that's all for the cutting of the front and back. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is that after placing these right sides facing each other, as you can see like this, I'm going to pin down the shoulder parts. I'm going to pin the both shoulder parts together like that, and I'm just going to head ahead to the sewing machine and sew those points down. So I'm done sewing those points down. I sewed both shoulder parts down, and I also went ahead to hem down the end of my blouse. That 2 inches that I added earlier, I've hemmed it down. I stitched it down by the 2 inches. So the next thing that I will work on now is the front parts. So I'm just going to fold it in twice like this to avoid it from fraying, and I'm going to do that all around the top, both the back neckline and the front neckline. I'm going to fold it twice like that. I also went ahead to already cut 2 long strips that are about 4 inches wide and about 46 inches long. The length is about 46 inches long, and I really made it very long because I want the strips to be long. So I'm going to fold it on the sewing machine, and when I'm done, I'm going to show you how to fix it to the top. So I'm going to work on that now. Yeah, so I'm done working on that, and I already folded the necklines of the front and the back like that, just the way I told you I was going to do it. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to be taking away our allowances we added earlier. Remember that we added a 1.5 inch stitching allowance when we were cutting this top. So I'm going to be taking that away, not like taking it away literally. I'm going to be marking it out to know where to sew on the sewing machine. So I'm going to pin that down on that 1.5 inch piece mark. I'm going to do it on the other side too. So basically I'm just taking off the 1.5 inch stitching allowance that we added earlier while cutting it, and pinning it down to make sure it's going to be easy to sew on the sewing machine. So that's just what I'm doing right now. And I also went ahead to sew the strip. I sew one edge off and I left the other edge of the strip opened. So the way we are going to be attaching it to the top now is that edge that I left opened, I'm just going to fold it in like the way you see me doing it in the video, and that side I folded in, I'm going to be putting it inside that triangular part of my blouse, that front part that looks triangular. Just going to be fixing it inside of the folded strip like that, and I'm just going to pin that down. Yeah, pin that down, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the second strip and the second edge. Fold it in, then fix the triangular parts of the front part of the top into it. Then I'm going to pin it down. So that's how it's going to look. Our top is already looking like the wrap top is supposed to look like. Also, I already cut out the sleeve of this top. I have another video where I explained how to cut a basic long sleeve. So the last thing that I'm going to do on this top is just to add the sleeves. Yes, after sewing the sides down, I'm going to add the sleeves too. And when I'm done with that, I'm just going to come and show you how our top looks. So yeah, this is the top. And I was done joining the sides, joining the strips, and joining the sleeves too. I also went ahead to iron the top flat, and this is the finished look on my client's body. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.